Welcome everybody. Hello. Good morning. Today we have grade 9, unit 9, helping hands, making friends. Today we have period number 3. So, at the beginning, today we'll talk about direct and indirect objects. Before I start, I want to remind you that some verbs that often take two objects, and keep in your mind the objects are comes the objects are come after the verbs. So these verbs take two objects. For example, bring, fetch, take, buy, get, make, give, and we have other examples of verbs, but these verbs mentioned in your book. So when we take one of these verbs, for example, I gave, and I say I gave the book to Ahmed. So the verb give, and ask yourself, give what? Give the book. So book is the direct object. Give the book. The book is the direct object, and to Ahmed is indirect object. And we use to plus indirect object to show direction. Now, another example, I've bought a book for Ali. I've bought what? A book. So book is the direct object, and for Ali is the indirect object. And we use for to show the idea of helping. What I want to say is this: if we have a verb like give or bought, we have two objects. The first one is the book, and the second one is to Ahmed. And I can stop here. I gave the book, and I can stop, but full stop. But if you stop, the meaning or the other person say, okay, you gave the book to who? Why do you give the book to what? So I have to mention to Ahmed to make the sentence understood. Now another example, I bought a book, and I can stop here, but I mention for Ali to understand or to give meaning for the other person that this book I bought it not for me, is for Ali. Now I bought, bought is what? Is a verb which take two objects, direct object and indirect object. Now if we put the direct object before or after the verb, directly after the verb, it is direct object. But we can say, or we can use the indirect object first, like this sentence, I gave Ahmed the book. So the direct object is the book. We delay the book, and we put Ahmed before that. So in this case, if we put the indirect object first, there is no need to put to or for. I gave Ahmed the book. Here I've bought Ali a book. So we remove to and we remove for if we put the indirect object first. When we put the indirect object first, there is no need to put for and to, and we remove them. Now next exercise, page 18. We have exercise number 1. I'd love some Arab style tea, please. Here the verb, where is the verb, everybody? The verb is love. And how many objects do we have? I'd love some Arab style tea. Just we have one object. So number 2, I am enjoying our chat. Enjoy is the verb, our chat is object. So here we have just one object. Number 3, Aunt Nada made lunch for the Masri family. Where is the verb? Made. Made what? Made lunch. Lunch is direct object, and for the Masri family, indirect object. Number 4, She made the Masri family lunch. She made the Masri family lunch. They preceded and or they put before, after made they put the indirect object and then the direct lunch. Hadil number 5. Hadil took the tray to the Masri family. Hadil took what? The tray. So the tray is the direct object. And when we read number 6, they mention the indirect object first. She took the Masri family the tray. Okay, now look at the example again and take the best way to complete the statements. 1. Example 1 and 2 have one object or two objects. Okay, it's one object, of course. Number 2, example 3 to 6 all have one object or two objects. Of course, two objects. Number 3, in example 3 and 5, the first object, direct object, comes just after or just before the verb. Of course, the object comes just after the verb. And number 4, in 3, okay, here number 4, in 3, the second object, the indirect object, follows the word what? 2 or 4? Follows 4. Number 5, the second object, indirect object, follows the word 2 or 4? Of course, 2. Number 6, in sentence number 4 and sentence number 6, the indirect object comes when? Before or after the direct object? Of course, before the direct object. Right. Okay, number 7, when the indirect object comes first. When the indirect object comes first, so we keep or we cut the words 4 and 2. Yes, we cut it. Now, number 8, the direct object is usually a thing or a person. Direct object is usually a thing, and the indirect object is usually a person, of course. Okay, everybody. Now we have another exercise number 2. Here, make statements and say what Rania did on holiday with her cousins. Now, say what she did for the first time. Use these words: boat, horse, mountain, and zoo. She climbed the mountain for the first time. She climbed mountain for the first time. What about number 2? Okay, she climbed the mountain for the first time. Visit a zoo for the first time. She visited a zoo for the first time. What about number 3? Sail. Okay, she sailed. Okay, she sailed in a boat for the first time. And the last one, ride. She rode a horse for the first time. Okay, just 1 minute, everybody. If we want to put the indirect object first, we can say she sailed for the first time. She sailed the first time a boat. So we put the indirect object first. We remove 2 and 4. Now we come to exercise number 2. Say how she communicate. Use these words: call, letter, message, and postcard. She wrote a postcard to her grandmother. Write postcard, grandmother. Number 2, send what is this? Letter to the parents. Text message to her sister, and make a video call or make a call to his brother. Okay, number 1, she wrote a postcard to her grandmother. What about number 2? She sent a letter to her parents. Number 3, she text a message to her sister. And the last, she made a call to her brother. Good for everybody. Now we have exercise number 3. Say what she did for people and use these words: cakes, chocolates, flowers, and vase. She bought some chocolates for her grandmother. Okay, buy chocolate, grandmother. She bought some chocolate for her grandmother. What about 2? Choose vase, parents. Okay, she chose a vase for her parents. Number 3, get flowers to her aunt and uncle. Yes, she got some flowers for her aunt and uncle. And the last one, she made cupcake, or she made some cake for her cousins. That's all for today, everybody. Thanks for attending and have a nice day.